About 2 weeks ago, I had a mountain of work to do for university. I just let it stack up over time as I was too lazy to do stuff when the new course started. And of course, I regretted this so much when I was sitting there with this huge amount of work that I would have to do. But since I couldn't turn time back, just step into the time machine and go back to when the course started again, I was forced to do the work. But I didn't want to because things hadn't changed. I was still this person that didn't want to do the work and that rather wanted to do something else, like read some interesting books. Yet I knew that if I didn't do this work, it would just build up even more, and eventually I would have to do it, or I would have to fail the class in case I would have to take the course again and do it. So all roads didn't lead to Rome, but they did lead to me having to sit down and do the work. So I realized that I needed some way of motivating myself, because yes, discipline is often the best thing you can have, but I didn't really have that at that point. So I needed some motivation, needed to get myself out of there. And what better way than to create something externally or internally that would push me to do the things I needed to do. The way to do this is to use external motivation. And I recommend having an item or service, preferably an item, something concrete that you can order to your door and you can have it, you can feel it, have it in your hands. Something like a watch, for example, or I don't know, some type of collector's item, a new book perhaps that you've been thinking of, or even something like a Lego set, like who knows, whatever, you get the point, an item. The thing this is gonna do is that this item is gonna create that motivation for you to do the work you need to do. And the way you do this is to write down a set of rules, essentially things that you have to complete in order to allow yourself to buy that item for you. It's like a gift to yourself, but with a requirement that you need to get X, Y, and Z done. And this is where you need to be super careful, because just buying items as a reward of doing the work, it may be great the first few times, but as you may know, if we continue to do this, we're gonna create this expectation of always getting something. And you probably know this if you have a sibling, or even if you have a kid yourself, like who knows, that if you want to give that person something for having done something, you want to reward them for whatever thing they did, you're gonna notice that the next time you want to do this thing, the expectation is there on you to provide the same or greater value, often greater value than last time. So obviously you realize that I cannot really give my sister something every time she does her math work, because in the end she's never gonna do anything if she doesn't get this item or this new thing that she wants. The great thing about this though is that you're giving this to yourself, so it's your discipline that it has to come forward, it has to absorb this and realize that you cannot get a thing every single time you've completed your work. And also, how often haven't we promised ourselves this, or if our sister or whoever have said that, yeah, I want to do this, and if I done that, you're gonna give me this. And we've said, okay, that sounds fair. You have probably experienced that the person works on this thing or you work on something, and then the day comes to an end and the work is not finished. But lots of effort have gone into this. So you think that, yeah, I mean, A for effort, so I'm gonna give this thing to that person anyway. Or you received something just because of the work you sat down and did. But hey, this is no participation award. This is a reward for when you have completed the set of tasks that you decided on. Because yes, the thing you need to do if you are to apply this tactic is to write down on a piece of paper exactly what you need to do. So for me, I had a university work, had a huge amount of it to do, and it's divided up in different modules, and perhaps like 4 hours per module. So I said to myself, I'm gonna reward myself with this item if I complete modules 6, 7, and 8. So 3 modules, about 4 hours of work per each, and I only have today to complete those modules. If I don't, well, then that item is never going to be owned by me, because that's also important. This is your only chance of owning that item. So it's not gonna be something you need in your life. Like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna buy food until I have completed my set of tasks. Obviously not. But rather an item that when you see it, you really want it, but it's not it's not the thing you want the most in the world. It's not the thing that you absolutely need. Nothing like that. Kind of like something like a real consumer's item. Something that you don't really need, you don't really have, but something that you still really want. That's the type of item that you should reward yourself with. So I needed to complete module 6, 7, and 8. I need to do it within today. So I set out and I did my tasks, and I actually ended up sitting from the very mornings, I think around 6 a.m. till midnight. So yes, I was completing the last module up until the last few minutes of the day. I just sat there and just pushed forward. And yes, this is the best method of working, of studying, because obviously your brain is not going to function fully the following day. But it was important for me to show myself that, hey, I can do this. Plus, I really wanted that item. The key here is that during the previous days, I had almost not done any work whatsoever. Perhaps not even 1 hour. And now I was sitting here from morning till evening, all because of this item that I was promising myself that if I do this, I'm gonna get this. So it does work. And at last, make sure this item, this thing you're rewarding yourself with, is something that you have to work super hard for. Like I said, I had to complete 3 modules of 4 hours of work each, so 12 hours of work throughout the day. Like, that's a lot. That's not something you just do. Because if you're gonna reward yourself every time you, like, okay, if I read an hour, I'm gonna reward myself with something. It doesn't matter if reading an hour is a hard struggle for you. It still shouldn't be something you put up as a big goal and, okay, I'm gonna buy this, I don't know, this new car if I read 1 hour. Obviously not. It should be an enormous amount of work, because that's also how you minimize this effect you may get that, oh, now I expect to get something every time I do stuff. It needs to be big, a huge thing, a huge task you have to do. And yes, this also works for challenges you have to do in the world, like run a marathon. It's an excellent one. You spend, I don't know, an entire day running, and at the end of the day you can award yourself with an item of your choice. But write down the item, exactly what you're gonna get if you completed your tasks. Write down the time frame. Okay, so I have only today to do this, and exactly the tasks you need to complete. That's how you use this tool, this external motivation item that can cause you to do a lot of work to get back on track. Because at the end of the day, that's what it did for me. I hadn't done anything. I completed 12 hours of work an entire day. That's probably more than I had done in the previous 2 weeks. So it works extremely well. But it comes with a huge cost if you're not too careful. So use it sparingly. And good luck with your 12 hours of work. I hope you get that car or whatever you promise yourself. And with that, I'm leaving you.